All right, we're live. Welcome to Table Talk, where we talk all things tabletop. I am your host, the Bella Gamer, with my co-host, Glue Boy.
Howdy, howdy.
And I think we got a very interesting show today, but as always, how you doing?
Pretty good. I got not a lot going on for the bit. Sadly, missing next week Table Talk because I'm gonna be out of town for Mother's Day, or the closest I can get to Mother's Day. But I'm essentially now in my complete normal routine of make video, go to work, and rinse repeat. It's great.
Yeah.
It's nice to finally be in like my normal routine again. It also seems like this entire friend group is getting into Honkai Star Rail right now, which is kind of funny.
It is spreading like a virus. That's true.
It was really funny because I was with my partner last night, and I was like, yeah, you know what? We're spending time together. I'm not gonna look at the Discord. Just gonna mute it for like an hour, just so I don't hear the beep beep beep, like the pinging. And I look back, and then I just see a discussion of the game. I'm like, oh, I guess more people after our like call together, where all three of us were trying it out, or really I was trying it out, and you two were convincing me to play it.
Yeah, I've been surprised, honestly. Like, Devin doesn't do gacha games really ever. He's done a couple with me, and we've done some for an extended time.
We all got sucked into Epic 7 way back in the day.
Yeah, it's true.
Which actually
I miss Epic 7.
I think it was fun. It was a fun time.
But yeah, I've been doing Honkai Star Rail since it came out, and I didn't do any of the closed beta test things. I don't typically do that kind of stuff. I'm not the kind of person who likes progressing in games. The progress doesn't matter.
Yeah, it depends on the very specific type of game. If it's like the only game I'm like super down to do that for is like the Rogue Trader game that's coming out soon. Because that one, I mean, it's a game I really like. I like the game. I just don't like how the alpha test is set up. So I'm just waiting for the beta test where I can actually create a character and progress like a normal game instead of, all right, try out this part of the game and you're level 20. It feels weird.
For sure.
I played a decent chunk of it, but like it's still not great. And I kind of just held away from this because I wrongly, I guess, assumed it was just going to be Genshin 2 in space. But no, the fact that it's like an actual linear RPG means I'm significantly more interested in playing.
I mean, I would say it's Genshin 2, but it's just not open world crawling on everything Breath of the Wild Genshin 2.
That's more what I mean. I like Genshin is essentially just Breath of the Wild on a system I prefer, because I'm not a big fan of using the Switch, really. I don't like how a lot of the games control, or that a lot of them just don't run very well. But having a Breath of the Wild on my PC is kind of nice. I enjoyed that. And then having just like a really stylish like linear RPG is pretty fun.
Yeah, and I like the thing about Star Rail that really gets me excited for it is it's not exactly what it appears on the surface. Because there's a lot of moments where it's like it feels very much like your standard cliche anime game, you know.
Yeah, there's some parts.
There definitely are, but like underlying all of it is also like slight eldritch horror, slight like dealing with entities that are like more like realized concepts than they are actual creatures.
Yeah, it's all the stuff with the Aeons is pretty fucking dope that I've
really
experienced
cool
so far.
If anyone's watched,
go ahead. I'm a giant sucker for concepts or opinions made reality. Like, enough people believe a thing and then it becomes real. I'm a massive sucker for that in world building, because I just think it's such a fun concept. So like seeing that in this, it's like, yay, the trope I like has been done again.
Yeah, and if anyone's listens to, I said watch, but listen to the Magnus archives,
Yeah,
it has a lot of that feeling to it.
Yeah, the Magnus archives, like actual cosmology, is super cool.
Mm-hmm. It's not like as ever pervasive, nor is it like as horror-y, but the entities in this game behave much like the fear entities do in the Magnus archives.
They exist because the feelings exist, and they continue to do it because they are that. A lot of the times, it's not a malicious actual act they're doing. It's just the thing they do because that's who they are and like how they were created.
Yeah. But it's got an added layer of it does create actual physical manifestations of these things. They're not like pure concepts that kind of press on the universe from the outside. They are in a sense, but they're also physical creatures that can be interacted with.
Yeah, because that one that keeps the preservation one that keeps talking to like the leader of that one planet.
Well, I won't spoil the story, but yeah, Clipoth's interesting. Nyx is like a sentient black hole. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's all really interesting stuff. But beyond that, anything else besides Star Rail?
It's Star Rail and Warhammer.
Yeah,
like that's my life. Oh, actually, I guess one fun thing is finally, in like a couple weeks, it was just confirmed to date. Our big store crusade gets to finally hit the big event that I've been building up for as my character, the main villain of this season. As my character has built a giant planetary gun platform that will create, that is hopefully going to create a new Eye of Terror.
Ooh.
So, yeah, and my character is an insane Tzeentch like sorcerer, and who's just gone so insane that he's just everything he does has to be done under 9 layers of like complication. Because he's just been sitting in the warp for a long time. And so the plans for this giant gun he made hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and is only now like deconstructed the encryptions on all of the data for it. And so it's been fun writing this like character that like, and talking to people of like, yeah, there's this big thing going on. My character has no clue what's actually is happening. He's just trusting past him because he assumes he understands what's happening. And also he talks like Skeletor, and it's very fun. I remember in my first like time doing Crusade, I tried writing in the 40k like Grimdark voice, very mediocre. I was like, you know what? I'm better at writing funny. I'll just do funny Warhammer, and then significantly this character became like people being like, oh hell yeah, new Kavarn lore just dropped.
Yeah.
It's been fun, and I'm excited because in just 2 weeks we get to have a giant game, and we're gonna have a giant chaos like war with the Imperium, and a bunch of us are just bringing big mech units that are just gonna charge downfield all together in a big line.
That sounds like fun.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be an all-day game, but it's gonna be pretty fun.
Yeah. On my side of things, it's just stress all over. If anyone's seen my message yesterday, my computer's been having memory issues. It's kind of been a thing that's always been on the horizon. It's because when I first got my computer, I did the dumb thing of factory resetting it by mistake. And I messed up all my partitions. And if you're not aware what that means, more or less, I kind of like messed up how the memory is stored in the computer. So now I have like 5 drives. All of them are like 100 gigabytes except for one, which is like 1 terabyte. And the C drive is 100 gigabytes. And your C drive is like where everything in your computer goes. It's the default location. It's where you put your operating system. It's everything. So the fact that drive is so small causes very consistent problems. And I've done my best to move everything to the big drive that I can. Mm-hmm. But it just consistently, Adobe's a big perpetrator of this.
God, yeah.
Everything, I've literally uninstalled Adobe, deleted everything, moved it to the E drive, and it still downloads stuff to the C drive all the time.
Yeah. Also just Adobe is, in any editing software, it's just, that just steals memory.
Yeah. And it's like, do you want your C drive to be your scratch drive? And I'm like, no! I keep telling you to stop! Why do you keep doing this? It's the
computers.
E drive. And so, it's just, like, every time I do something, my computer will like, sorry, drive full, can't do anything. And I'm like, why? Nothing should be going to the C drive right now. That's just where everything goes. So, and it's a pain in the ass because everything is so, it's not like I can delete a game off my computer and clear up space in my C drive because it's on my E drive. It's just all these weird extra files. Like, I have double Adobe files everywhere, and I keep deleting them, and they keep coming back. And sometimes it's not even enough, as something else is inevitably doing it. So I've just had enough. It's something that's been 10 years in the making. I gotta go. I've uploaded all my important files to OneDrive, and I'm just gonna go take it in. I'm gonna have someone professionally do it because I don't feel confident in my ability to fix everything. And I'm just gonna have them fix my partitions and get my computer back in a working order.
Yeah. I completely feel that. Just I've done my best to deal with this, and every time I try to fix it, nothing actually happens. So I'll just pay somebody to do it.
I probably could do it, but it's just something I just don't want to mess up again.
Yeah.
I just feel more comfortable giving it to someone else. So, yeah, that's been that problem. Also, I'm moving in 2 weeks.
God, yeah, that's true.
2 weeks and 2 days is when we're picking up the truck, and then the day after that is when we're actually physically moving out. So I've been shitting bricks a bit because it's just this idea of, it's weird conceptualization of time. Because a part of me is it's more than 2 weeks right now. It's a good amount of time. But then a part of my brain is next week, you're going to be saying it's a week away. And that's suddenly way scarier.
Yeah, that's going to be a big change up, so.
After this weekend, the second Sunday comes around, I'm going to be it's less than 2 weeks. It's a week and some change. It doesn't matter if it's essentially 2 weeks. It's my brain is just going to be it's a week away. It's a week away and some days. And we're moving 3 hours away, which is never fun. I've done it once getting here, and now I'm doing it to get away. That's just how it is. But we're moving into a house. That's great. And
that is absolutely dope.
Yeah. And also, we are gonna have our big group get together in July. Sometime.
That'll be great. I'm excited for that. It's gonna be also meeting in person multiple members of this group for the first time.
The only ones you've met are Suzanne, Devin, and I, so
Yeah, everyone else is pure digital.
Which is funny because you've also have been relatively rather close to Alicia this whole time.
It just happens that we live near each other.
Yeah. Hello, Yaren Mello. What do you think I'd change to Witch class to make it better? First of all, I don't think you need to change anything to make Witch better. Witch is fine, you know? While it doesn't have anything necessarily to make it that different than Wizard, other than the fact that it can use multiple traditions, it works fine. But also, the Pathfinder 2e remaster is actually going to be tweaking Witch around, and you can look forward to that in October. So, it's going to be, I think it's going to be really interesting.
It's actually very funny you bring that up, Nora, because I feel the exact opposite. Like, fully opposite of that. I was hoping for some cool turn-based game.
Well, that's, I mean, alright, let's talk about it. It's a little early, but let's talk about it. So first of all, I ain't hating. It doesn't bother me whatsoever because I knew it wasn't going to be a turn-based game. I knew from the moment that I dived into Beacom Studios and looked at their stuff that even if it was, it wouldn't be a quality that everyone would want it to be.
That's... And also, yeah, that's same here. As much as, like, opinions I could throw around about games, like, zero actual shade intended, I don't completely care. It's not a major thing that, like, how the Pathfinder game is going to be. It's all personal preference, especially personal preference of I just don't like games that play like Diablo. Ain't my thing. I find them kind of boring, and it's just, yeah, they exist, and it's not for me.
So let's see here.
I don't know if it's on my end or whatever, but your stream is super laggy.
Is it?
It's running a little poorly.
It's looking fine for me on YouTube. Is it Twitch?
Twitch and, well, YouTube's a little better. I'm just noticing some, like, stutter and like it looks like you're just,
I think it's your
slow.
end because I'm getting everything clear.
That's good then. I'll take that.
But anyway, yo Spidernauts, it's been a while. I haven't seen you around lately, so welcome. Why play Witch when you can play Wizard? Because you can't play a Wizard like Divine Caster or Occult Caster. In fact, just the ability to be a Wizard like Occult Caster who can delve into the secrets of the occult like a normal Wizard does Arcane is actually super cool.
Yeah, and sometimes you want to have that very specific character aesthetic. And, you know, sometimes Witch will deliver where Wizard doesn't.
But, as I said, there's a remaster coming out to make Witch, I'm assuming, much more unique. And so, I'm going to hold off all judgment until the remaster comes out. But I personally don't think there's anything wrong with Witch currently. I just think that... like, Wizard can play the same as Witch if you specifically design it that way. Otherwise, Witch is Witch, you know?
Yeah.
And I actually had some really cool things Witch can do. Like, Witch is the only class that can summon 2 creatures at level 1, which is pretty huge because summoning is really powerful early game.
I mean, yeah, just having that extra action economy is always a game changer.
Let's see. I'm not completely against it not being turn-based, but honestly, I don't care about Diablo much at all. Yeah, and I mean, like, that's fair. So, right, let's address this as much as we can. It was never gonna be a CRPG, and even if it wasn't gonna be a CRPG that people would have wanted. It wasn't gonna be nearly to the level that Owlcat has done. And I think personally a lot of people would prefer Owlcat do the next game.
I would prefer if it be Owlcat games because I know they can make really good CRPGs. And I was hoping it would be something like turn-based tactical. Just I was hoping that it wasn't a CRPG, to be honest. And honestly, you know whose fault it is for that? Fucking Nonads. Because he made a tweet a long while ago that's been living in my head rent-free of having a Pathfinder game that is made by the same studio that did that one League of Legends game. The Taken King or not.
Oh, yeah.
King, whatever that one is. Not the Destiny DLC. They also did Battle Chasers. And honestly, I absolutely adore the battle system that studio uses. I think it's super fun. And something like that, but tooled to be like a 3-action system like Pathfinder 2e, I would have adored. That's what I wanted. I wanted like a party Final Fantasy style turn-based game, not a CRPG.
What is Owlcat? Owlcat is the company that made Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous.
Yeah, and both of those are Pathfinder First Edition base rules.
So, I mean, like, that's the thing, right? And I think this is the core of it. I think it's inherently good that, one, Paizo is getting their setting out there so that more people can get into the Pathfinder universe, be excited for it. Because legitimately, Pathfinder's world and setting and everything just feels better than Forgotten Realms. And that's not to say that there hasn't been amazing works done in Forgotten Realms. Of course, there have been. R.A. Salvatore and all his works, the Dritz books. I think they're all really well done.
Those books. I haven't read them yet, but I've heard that people really like them.
But that's the problem with D&D's setting overall, is Forgotten Realms is such a cluster truck of a bunch of different writers coming together, making a setting, and then there's just a lot of things that don't make sense. Also, D&D's just, for some reason, lack of desire to flesh out anything other than the Sword Coasts.
Yeah,
that's real tragic.
Yeah.
So I think anything that gets people interested in the setting and the idea of Pathfinder's world is really good, no matter what media it takes. And see, that's the benefit of video games, is that you can have multiple kinds of video games that then multiple kinds of people can get invested in the same thing, you know?
Yeah. Like, I think that's the good point of it. Like, having just a video game, just signing off on a studio to make a project, and you're like, yeah, all right, just make a game adaptation of our system. We'll look over. Like, that's really good advertising. That's just how it works. I mean, and every tabletop system could have some really cool like games made from it. Just take, for example, the Anima Beyond Fantasy Devil May Cry clones. They're great. Those games are fantastic.
Man. I know you're straight talking out your ass at this point. I don't think you even finished one of them.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I still think it'd be a really funny bit to speedrun that game.
The moist speed
the moist
run.
percent I came up with.
Moist percent. Yeah.
Yeah. Like something like that. That's a bigger budget idea I have, where if I make a really, really in-depth video essay on Anima Beyond Fantasy as like my personal call to the Anima dev to just go hog wild for the revision. Just like double down on everything. Don't fix, don't balance, just add more shit.
This is why you do videos, Alex.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you don't do game design.
Yeah, I'm not a game designer. I gave that shit way, way long time ago because I would have to learn how to code. And coding is lame and boring and has numbers in it. So I don't understand it. I don't get game design. I can just point a camera at a thing and make it look kind of
nice. But as guitar guy Nick here has said, everyone is super feasting for a CRPG for Pathfinder 2e.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately, it's just, as the market is currently, there's only like one big company that's really good at this. Two, if you want to do like a Larian Studios kind of way of doing it, which I kind of want to do, but I also don't want another Baldur's Gate situation. So I don't know. But if there's gonna be a Pathfinder 2E CRPG, it needs to be done well, especially with how well the other two games were. If anything less would just cause people to go apeshit. So,
and
go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
I was gonna say, so we're more likely just waiting for Owlcat to get done with their current project, and then they're probably gonna get hired by Paizo to do another game.
Most likely. You know, I think I do think it's a fun point you bring up of like specifically Larian, because you know I'd love a Larian Pathfinder 2E game. However, that's asking for I'd love a Pathfinder Larian game in a decade.
Yeah.
That shit ain't coming out anytime soon.
With a super buggy game that you play for 5 years of it, because they do like open progress kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like they always have their games just out way too early.
Yeah, and Baldur's Gate 3 is all right, and though playing it, I'm like, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of meat that makes me like care for CRPG. Like, compared to Divinity Original Sin 2, with how like really like cool shit you could do and like build your character, all the powers you can give them, 5e feels like such a downgrade from that.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, that's an interesting point. I'll address chat here in a second, but we just got done with our Solasta game last night. Actually.
Oh hell yeah.
We just finished the Crown of the Magister game, and I played Warlock. And I didn't play a Blade Lock, which was my mistake, because after playing it, I just felt like, oh, it's done. I guess that was the thing. Like, I had fun in the game, but in the end, D&D 5e system, I don't know what there is about it. It just doesn't feel good. And maybe it's just because Pathfinder has ruined me. But even like Wrath of the Righteous and stuff like that, I felt like there was just a lot more to do with my character, like build-wise, and a lot more interesting interactions and everything like that. And Solasta, to be fair, is made by a super small team, so like
they did a very good job for having like honestly not many people like making it, a pretty small studio. And they did a pretty good job. They have some actually cool, unique, like, subclasses or versions of 5e stuff. I think base Solasta, like, it has cooler subclasses and stuff than normal 5e, but it's still, like, not... It's held back by the fact it's based on 5e.
Exactly.
But whenever it makes a unique idea, it's something very cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the interesting thing. 5e is just a great seed bed for better content. That's the funny thing about 5e. So many people have made some really great things utilizing 5e.
Yeah.
But 5e itself is just kind of meh. And I played Warlock, and the first time for me actually playing like a whole bunch of Warlock in a game, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good like at all. Even in video game form, which I feel like is the best place to play Warlock, because I was like, guys, can we take a long rest or a short rest? Guys, can we take a short rest? Guys, can we take a short rest? After every combat. And even though in the game it only takes like 5 seconds to go through a short rest or whatever, it just doesn't feel good. And if you're not using one of your 2 spell slots till level like 11, you're using Eldritch Blast or some other cantrip. Now, if you're a Blade Lock, I think it gets a little better. I think Blade Lock is overall the best form of Warlock, and that sucks. That sucks because because it shouldn't be that way, you know.
Yeah, every version of Warlock should feel cool, but it just ain't the case.
So that was the interesting thing that happened after our Solasta run, was literally just I guess that was fun. Like, I had some fun doing it, but you know. I'm not too excited to get back into Solasta anytime soon. Would I do it again? Yeah, sure. Play something else. Play an actual caster. Have some more fun in the game for sure. But it feels so like slow, and not in like things take forever kind of way, but it's like you're forced to make a singular move and then wait 5 minutes for your next turn.
Yeah, which that's 5e. And honestly, it's one of those situations where Solasta, because I feel the same. Solasta is really fun, specifically in the aspect that we're all playing it together and we're all friends. Yeah. I would never play Solasta with randos because I don't care enough about the game to want to play it with people I'm not friends with. Because like it's fun because it's y'all, not because the game is amazing.
And so let's go ahead and look at the chat. Yeah, so guitar guy Nick, there's a lot going on here. I just think they should have a more road-tested company to take on the project. So here's the thing, right? Paizo is doing well for a tabletop company. In fact, Paizo is doing astonishingly well for a tabletop company that's not D&D.
All things considered, yeah.
It's like other tabletop companies wish they were a quarter of what Paizo is.
Yeah.
It's not even close. How most other companies compare to Paizo. Paizo's just barely hanging on, and that's mostly because it's just like a subset of D&D that just went off on its own and kind of made a really good game. And that's the only reason. But that in mind, they're still a relatively small company. They can't afford really super big companies. In fact, the only reason why they got a company like Alcat on board was, one, they got really early in on Alcat, I think. And, before Alcat really set itself out. And as well, I think Alcat just really wanted to make their game and saw it as profitable. So,
I think they also are like shown very evidently that they're Pathfinder like super fans.
Yeah,
it seems like whenever they go, they approach or are approached to like make a game, the people involved are like excited to do it, because that's the current thing with Rogue Trader. It's very evident that the team behind it are Warhammer fans, and in like streams and stuff, they've talked about how like, oh yeah, and then here's how we base this thing. And actually, as a designer, I based this enemy off of a mini I own. It's like, oh, hell yeah, obviously you're a fan of it.
And
so a lot of passion that makes up for that.
And the thing is as a marketing strategy, it's actually good to use a company like Bickham, because for those who are like naysaying Bickham or whatever, they've made a lot of games, and they've made some games that are actually pretty cool and pretty interesting. Are they not like they're not like big blockbuster games?
They made Sunday or Saturday Gold.
Sunday Gold.
Sunday Gold is a game that I want to try, because I just looking at it on Steam, I think it looks really cool. It's very stylish, and I'm a big fan of that. I love turn-based games, but only really when I think they do something interesting artistically, because I can only have so many pixel art turn-based games.
Yeah.
Again, I've played Final Fantasy VI before. I understand what you're doing here, like indie dev.
So I think it's just a good strategy to be kind of like a not low effort, but like it's Paizo being like, hey, this is what we can afford, and we can get 2 games with it, because they're doing 2 games with them. And it's just to get it out in a more easy, accessible area, because it's like a lot of mobile or a lot of like easy kind of PC games. So yeah, they could have gone with like a small dev on stream or whatever, but then the game would take forever, and Paizo doesn't want to do that. They want to take action because of the OGL nonsense, and so they needed something out like that. And having a company like Bickham that has a lot of studios and gets projects out pretty quickly and to like a fair degree, like, I think is not a bad idea. It's not what the hardcore fans want, but that's not who it's targeted at. It's for the casual enjoyers. So let's see. Oh, 5e downgrade chat or comments, which fair.
Yeah.
Agreed. Daggerheart. And the other one, I can't remember at this moment. Critical Role.
What's that?
So, Critical Role is releasing 2 TTRPGs currently. They're doing a rules light system, which I don't remember its name right now, but someone in the chat will probably pull it up here for me in a second. And they're also releasing Daggerheart, which is a much more like in-depth fantasy TTRPG game done by them or their studio, but more or less. And so a lot of people are really interested in it because one, it's like Critical Role is really responsible for, I would say, a pretty decent market share of what D&D success has been currently. And that being the case, whatever Critical Role comes out with can affect D&D. So whatever Daggerheart turns into could be good if they put the time and effort into it, which I think they will, because Matt's a die-hard tabletop fan,
Oh, yeah.
He's a dyed-in-the-wool tabletop fan. I don't think he wants to put anything out that isn't, like, really great. And they're already releasing a rules light system in tandem. And so they don't really have a reason to make, like, a very, like, half-baked kind of TTRPG or anything like that. They already have a super light game, so I'm sure they're going to actually invest and make a very interesting, in-depth game.
I'm looking forward to it, because every single thing that Matt has developed, or at least, like, heavily worked on, like, for the 5e stuff, like, I do posit that the source books he made for, like, Critical Role are probably some of the best books published in 5e, to be honest. Like the Tal'Dorei campaign book, Exandria, all that stuff are fucking rule. The subclasses in it are great. Like, a lot of the unique stuff in there just works really well and fits in perfectly. I mean, there's a reason why, besides just general fanboy shit, why a lot of DMs will say, like, all right, homebrew, please, like, pass by me first, but if it's a Matt Mercer design thing, you get a blanket list.
It's like auto accept pretty much.
Essentially, it's like normal D&D canon when he makes something. You're like, yeah, that's like core now.
And he also helped write some of the stuff for Dragon Heist.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed Dragon Heist.
It was fun.
So, I have full confidence that whatever it will be will be good enough to sorry, I'm doing something here on the side. Whatever comes up is going to be good enough for tabletop RPGs. Now, whether it's going to be like the next big thing or not, that's something to be seen. Because as of right now, Paizo has like the best system in my opinion, and I think it would be a big push to make something more interesting. But that doesn't mean something more stylized, more interesting could come out. But they've already gone to say that this system's going to be your standard fantasy style. So I'm not expecting anything that's going to make me like jump out of my seat or what have you. So
yeah, I assume it's going to be just good. I don't know if it's going to be like the next thing that we all like immediately jump to playing, especially our group, but I imagine if we touch on it, we'll probably enjoy it to some extent. And as much as like a standard fantasy thing can, when Pathfinder 2e is just kind of sitting over the horizon, like looking at us.
Yeah. Did you know Matt is actually in the artwork of Dragon Heist? Yes.
Yeah. It's a fun little thing.
I'm sure their next campaign will be using the system. I hope so.
Oh, 100%.
Their game did start as a Pathfinder 1e game, yeah. If Critical Role starts taking away people from D&D, I think all the better. See, this is kind of the thing. Like I talked about this a long time ago. Whalefall, right? The bloated corpse of D&D that got super inflated thanks to Stranger Things and Critical Role. Now, when you rip those things out, I don't think it's all going to be like a straight 100% transfer of like Critical Role fans to Daggerheart necessarily. I think it's going to be more of there's going to be a gradient of individuals who go to Critical Role and then who kind of fall off of tabletop in general, and people who go out to try different tabletops. We're already kind of in a bit of like a Pathfinder renaissance in a sense. Pathfinder's getting like very, very popular now. Kind of. It's interesting. There's something that as a YouTube creator for Pathfinder, even though a lot more people nowadays are kind of getting into it and there's still people filtering in, it's definitely come off of the high that was the OGL stuff. Even like Nonats, the Rules Lawyers, both channels that are like plus 20k subs at this point, are struggling to get new subs every month. It's pretty rough, you know. I mean, they do. They'll get like 1,000 in a month or whatever, but that's like more or less expected for channels of that size. So, or not expected. That's actually pretty low for channels of that size, actually. That being the case, it means that there's just not a lot of like media people looking for it, like on YouTube and stuff. So it's just kind of fallen off the hype train. We'll see how it gets back. I think it's going to be like a snowball effect. I think what people are going on now and like the people who are looking into it are going to go more and more into it, especially with new 5e stuff coming out, because everyone doesn't like a lot of what's coming out. And honestly, WotC's really wishy-washiness with how they're doing things currently. I think more and more people who have fallen in love with tabletop are going to be looking at other games, and Pathfinder is the next step, and I would say a step up from D&D as far as gaming is concerned. So
I think the absolute best point is if D&D does lose just like 10% of its player base to something else, that is a large number of people jumping ship. Yeah. And especially if it's something aligned with Critical Role, because as somebody who got into tabletop gaming because Critical Role existed, and as someone who has met a lot of other people that have also gotten into D&D only because Critical Role exists, I think it's very possible that if they're like, hey guys, we made a system, go check it out, people are gonna like jump at it. They're gonna like spend so much time on it. I mean, their show Kickstarter broke like records in a day. Their fans are feverish for anything involving them. So like it's gonna succeed, and hopefully it succeeds and causes some actual impact in the industry and kind of starts to break this monopoly stranglehold that D&D and Hasbro have.
Yeah, so I think tabletop's going to be in a good spot. I think we're going to hit a new indie age of tabletop, and
I really hope so.
A lot more people are going to get more views, and you know, one of the reasons why I wanted to make my channel more diverse, but you know, Pathfinder's been doing really well, and I think will still do well, is keeping me more on it. But you know, I still have plenty of other games that we're going to be looking into and doing here on the channel. So why is my camera out of focus? I don't know. Let's reread. So yeah, it's gonna be big. I think Daggerheart is going to make people see tabletop as more of like an open field rather than just the monolith that is D&D. So that's gonna be really, really good. Let's see. Matthew Mercer's broken class subclasses. He's not made anything that D&D hasn't already made terribly. So.
I mean, if you just make something fun in 5e, it's broken. because 5e inherently everything is kind of underpowered and underwhelming. That's just the system.
Or overtunes like Paladin.
Yeah, and if you make something interesting, it's just gonna be very good. And what is it, Blood Hunter? That is one of the coolest homebrew classes I've ever played.
It's very interesting. I don't think it's done very well in practice though. Using health as a resource in a game like D&D is very rough.
Oh yeah, it is troubling in that aspect, but playing the bit I have as Blood Hunter, I had a fucking blast. And then the Time Mage sounds super dope. Everything about that looked really fun.
Let's see. The Dungeon Dudes have done their look at the Pathfinder 2e beginner box. I haven't looked at that, so hopefully that went well. The beginner box is really good. The GM layer has converted to Pathfinder 2e a little bit. He likes it, and I think he's playing it personally. But if you've been keeping up with some of his stuff as well, he's also kind of had the same kind of Mr. X-isms, I've noticed, where it's like he's just complaining about things in the game that he felt like he had in D&D in some of his shorts or whatever. And also, like other people have already mentioned, he's definitely not hard diving into Pathfinder 2e because when he makes those videos, they do 10 times less than normal. So as someone who has financial skin in the game, he's gonna make more D&D content just because it's just gonna make more money. Let's see. Been playing 2e for 3 years now, and it's better than 1e and D&D 5e for me, at least just as better. It's better than 1e and D&D 5e for me. At least it's just such a fun system. Yes, it is. Yes. Like I said, Pathfinder 2e I think is the most mechanically sound and fun tabletop RPG at its level of complexity, at its level of crunch, I should say. Because if you don't like crunchier games and you prefer straight rules light games, obviously it's not going to be your cup of tea. But for its genre of TRPG, I think it's the best by far. Let's see. I did not get the outrage of the remaster the game at a perfect point to have this. Twixter, I don't know if there's anyone who's really upset about the remaster. I've not seen
somebody
anyone.
In your comments was.
Oh, there was a guy who was like, "Oh, they're ruining Pathfinder now" or whatever. Yeah, there's that one guy.
Yeah, there was that guy. They're just destroying Pathfinder. Cool, and it's.
Yeah, and then I like how he got a response that he edited. If you're responding to this, I don't care. It's like, obviously, I don't care if you edited your comment to say that you don't care.
Yeah,
you could have just ignored it.
You could have just ignored it, and it seemed way cooler, because just doing that means it's incredibly lame. But also, because I responded to that, I don't really poke shit in your comment section, because, I don't know. I'm not trying to pick fights in your comments. I'll do it in mine all I want, because it's mine. But, I was just so curious of, please explain what you're talking about. I'm so curious what you mean that a remaster that fundamentally just changes the names and keywords of things. And, yeah, sure, a class or two is going to have a light overhaul, but, it's not going to be a complete rechange. How does that ruin anything? It's the weird mentality a lot of nerd stuff has is... nothing can progress in this thing I like from the moment I started. And it's the game might have been completely different 5 years ago, but you weren't a fan of the game 5 years ago, so all that change is completely fine. Anything after the point you started is bad. I don't understand. Yeah. That is strange and weird. No business can do that. That's not... that you have to continuously change things, because if you're running it as a business... you're losing money if you just leave it alone.
I've seen some people complaining about it being 2.5 and making the books people just bought worthless, which is based on no real info. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm sure it's just a lot of people are being told it's something that it isn't. It's just an errata. Most things in the game are not changing at all. The only thing that's being changed, extensively, which is getting a tune-up. I think Oracle is also getting a little bit of a tune-up. Alchemist is just getting a consolidated version of all the changes they made in other books to make Alchemist feel better. And then they're removing alignment, which is, I think, a substantial-ish change to the game, but not in any real way that affects most people. Most of the classes aren't even changing. Most ways that things are done in the game are not even changing. Yeah, that's pretty much all for the Alchemist currently. It's mostly consolidation, plus they might adjust some things based on some of the changes they made in Treasure Vault, because Treasure Vault made Alchemist feel a lot better, and they had our new errata recently that made Alchemist feel better. So, I mean, if they just give Alchemist crafting as they level, I'll be happy. Because I feel like that's super necessary, honestly, for a class that's based around crafting.
Yeah, I'm constantly surprised when you mention, like, Alchemists don't get crafting as they level. So I'm like, well, why? That's like their thing. Why wouldn't they have? I understand that it's not based for their actual like class gameplay, but why in the world would you be playing an Alchemist that isn't actively crafting when you can?
Yeah. So I mean I think it's just something that they didn't consider. There's also just some things they learned with some of the newer classes that like they held some classes features back because they weren't sure how people were gonna like abuse it, and then after a lot of feedback they're like, oh, okay, maybe we're being a little too conservative. So we're just gonna make sure that we nip that problem in the bud early. And then they're like, oh, that wasn't really a problem. So it's not anything big. It's just mostly an errata in a tuned up game to like the level of design they're currently doing. If anything, people should be happy because it means that that old classes and features and stuff aren't being power crept by just newer, fresher design, because they're just putting that in.
And if you really, for some reason, like your old books, or even if just in the chance that like maybe you just can't afford buying a new tabletop book like that, there's nothing stopping you from just playing on, or even just like reading online, like, oh, hey, this thing changed, I'm gonna like retool this DM, and they're like, yeah, okay. And nothing changes on your end.
And on top of that, they've already said if you use all the old stuff, it really won't change your game all that much. Even if you mix the two, a lot of it really isn't going to change. And as well, Pathfinder is notorious for having all their stuff pretty much available for free online.
Yeah, just Archive of Nethys, and then that's really all you got to do. Like, I am directly, like, actually going to be impacted by the remaster, but all tangibly it's doing is changing the name of my ancestry or heritage, whichever one. Like, I'm just not going to be a tiefling no more. I'm going to be a Nephilim, and like, you know what? I like tieflings, but Nephilim is pretty cool. I like
Nephilim does sound a little bit more metal. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like because it's a biblical thing.
Yeah.
Tiefling is just a D&D thing, but then it's like, here's a biblical term, and it's like, it's so much cooler.
I'm surprised Matt Mercer hasn't made this system with Matt Colville. I mean, I don't know why he would. First of all, like, they made their own studio, and Matt Colville's kind of like his own guy doing his own stuff, you know? So I don't know why they would necessarily work together.
They could do what the two directors of like the guys who made Swiss Army Man and Everything Everywhere All at Once and join together and call themselves like the Matts, because those directors call themselves like, this movie is directed by the Daniels. It's good branding.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know much about really anything like that, and I don't know. Again, it's just like, hey, we're making our own game. Hey, let's take an old hat from D&D and put it in. It's like, hey, I don't know. I don't know why you do that. Sparnoff says, I know for the RPG weekend, I'm looking forward to playing the Stargate RPG with a friend of mine who's running it that weekend. That sounds awesome. That sounds very interesting.
Not surprised there's a Stargate RPG, but I hope it's good.
Let's see. Yeah, and as Definix mentioned, a lot of this like change stuff happened with the Unchained, and nothing bad happened to 1E as well. It's just updating rules, making them a little bit more modern because they were made at a time before like the game really hit the ground. I hope they make Phoenix Sorcerer a common bloodline. Sure. I mean, oh no, that's relevant for people who play in society play. Because other than that, your GM can just say yes or no, and it won't really matter. So, if it makes society play funner for you, sure, I'm all for that. I don't know if they will, because I think that one is from one of their modules, and one of the big things about society is getting access to things because you played through the modules to essentially like earn them. But who knows?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's always a thing I forget when it's like, oh, I wish this thing was in Pathfinder. I'm like, oh, just like your DM sideways. Oh, yeah, society plays a thing. Except I have never done society play, so I'm just not used to that specific method of character creation.
Guitar Guy Nick, I'm really interested in how Kineticist plays. Me too. I'm actually very interested because the playtest was all over the place, but it was supposed to be. That's the thing, is a lot of people are like, it was garbage in the playtest, or it was broken in the playtest. Like, it was supposed to be. They wanted to throw a lot at the wall to see what stuck and what people looked at, and they took a lot of that in. Which used to have cackle automatically, and also they used to have like some other things that was really kind of wonky, and that all got changed. So, you know, like how classes look in the playtests are very rarely how they turn out in practice. So, I have full confidence in Paizo releasing another banger class, and I'm gonna get that information early, and I'm gonna be showing it off here on the channel. Maybe not Kineticist, because one of the bigger channels will probably have dibs on that material, but I will have access to archetype stuff and some other things as well. So if you guys want to hear some of that, and maybe I'll hint at whatever I can without breaking NDA, check it out. I think I'll be getting that stuff sometime in July. So if you're excited for Kineticist, check out Rage Development stuff in July. It's gonna be really good. Let's see. Which well, Salty Parasite, I'll you're late, but I'll kind of rehash it real quick. Is that the new game's not a CRPG. People don't like that, but people wouldn't like a CRPG done by Bickham anyway, so I don't know why everyone was so upset about it. But it's just how it is. There are some really banger CRPGs made for Pathfinder, and people just want more of that, and they're just not getting it, and so some people are upset. Some people don't like the hack and slash style of the new game that's been announced.
I don't.
Which is fair, and people, you know, can not like to play the game. The whole point is to make Pathfinders available for as many types of people as possible, which means giving people pineapple on their pizza even though you hate it.
Yep.
So
it's as much as I'll say like, oh man, it's an ARPG, I'm just not gonna touch it. That sounds kind of boring. I would never be like, how dare they make this? They should make something different. That's my taste. Like, I'm not gonna like insult somebody who's like getting excited about a new thing. If you love ARPGs, good job. Happy that you're getting a game you want. I'm just not gonna buy the game.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I'll just play something else.
Guy with Virtual Pick hates hack and slash. His name is Glue Boy or Alex.
There's a difference. There's a difference there. I don't like the Diablo style of hack and slash. If it's Devil May Cry, I'm all here for it. That's fun. I'll do those combos. All I'm doing in like an RPG is I'm clicking on people and then pressing like Q through T or something. And oh, you did a big spinny move and this cool top down. Good job. I didn't feel like I did that. I just feel like I ordered a character to do that. I'm like playing The Sims, but an action version of The Sims. That's what it feels like. I don't like it.
I disagree with you so much on so many different levels. I'm just going to leave it at that.
how I feel.
Definitely what you feel wrong.
I mean, you actually like those type of games.
I do, right? But I feel like it's very disingenuous to say I didn't do anything to make this feel good or whatever. It's like you'd say the same thing about Devil May Cry.
I don't know. I'm doing the combos. I'm clicking the stuff. I'm doing the back forwards.
Diablo
I'm doing the
games have combo stuff too. Getting certain abilities paired up in the right way. It's just a different perspective.
Yeah, I could also type. I could also press keys in an order.
And you can also play Devil May Cry on keyboard.
That's
I don't
weird.
know why you would.
I don't know why you would either. Like, you can, theoretically.
Also, yeah, Salty Parasect, right there. There's the comments. It's at the top of the screen here. Then just get the new Armored Core game. I'm gonna play the shit out of that new Armored Core game.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm very excited for that.
I'm so excited to actually see what all the hubbub's about Armored Core. I have never played one, mainly because that shit, to my knowledge, is not on PC. So...
yeah, well, it was made, like, forever ago, like 10 years ago, before that was really a thing.
Fucking ancient textbooks are written about that time.
There are. There are primers. Their guides are just full of Armored Core stuff.
I saw a picture of, like, people, all these new fans to Armored Core don't understand the fear of this, and it was like a mission expense screenshot.
Yeah.
Of, like, all the stuff you gotta pay for, and I was like, oh god. But I don't know what that means.
I don't think they're gonna do that in this new one. I think this new one's gonna be, this new one is gonna be a lot more modernized to remove some of that. But yeah, mission expense straight, because you would get money for the mission. You actually, in old games, had to pay to go into missions. And then, depending on how damaged your mech was by the end of it, you'd have to pay to get your mech fixed up. And sometimes you could come out of a mission negative. This new Armored Core is supposed to be like Dark Souls. It is not. Whoever keeps saying that is not accurate. It's Armored Core.
Yeah, the gameplay looked nothing like a Souls-like, which honestly I'm down for.
If anything, it's more Sekiro, and that's only because they've added a stagger system in the game.
I love me a good stagger system. Which, you know what, to be fair, if there's any, like, Souls mechanic to yoink from a game, fuck all this, like, oh, collect your souls and rest at a bonfire. I want posture. I want posture systems. I love it.
Yeah.
I love those so much. They're so fun, because they just prioritize parries, and parries are my shit. So fun.
They do seem like they're gonna have some parry-esque abilities in this game as well. I watched a video by VodiVidia, and he made a really good point of, like, there's an attack that came out, and it looked like last second the mech, like, produced a shield to deflect it in, like, a frame. So they might have some, like, instant deflect kind of abilities as well. I don't think it's gonna be a full-on parry system, but I think that they might have. You might be able to add to your mech, like, some shields that you can use to, like, deflect blows last second, which does like sound pretty cool.
Imagine a shield that lets you, like, repel missiles or something back at its owner. I'm so down for that. I don't know if
I don't know about that. I think that's a little too much. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty sick. I'm super hyped for Armored Core. I'm gonna be playing it a lot. If my channel was like 20 times its size, I might be like, check out my other channel where Bad Luck Plays or whatever. But if I did that, no one would watch. So yeah, you guys just have to take my word. I'm gonna be playing the shit out of that game.
Let's Plays are not as profitable as they used to be, or harder to get into because of how oversaturated it is.
Yeah, that's more of the big deal.
Yeah,
but it still happens. It's mostly just because it's more just someone who overplays one game specifically, and it's like well after the game's prime day, so all the people who are looking for that kind of content still are gonna go to this person who has played thousands of hours of one game.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how a lot of the Let's Play culture, at least for the stuff I watch now as I've grown up in it, because, you know, obviously, like, YouTube, early YouTube, you're watching like your Markipliers, your Jacksepticeye's, all that. Not fully my thing anymore. It's interesting how a lot of it feels like it's turned into just live stream content more of. Because like the only actual content I'd say like, oh yeah, I guess you could classify these as Let's Plays, are stream highlights of people playing games that I'm never gonna touch in my life, or like obscure, weird PC games from like 20 years ago. Like, that's my shit. I mean, I adore Jerma. He's my favorite streamer, like, of all time. But like a lot of his content is him strictly playing games that like no one else is playing on Twitch. Like that's his, like, as he puts it, that's his model. Like, why would I be the 50th person playing this game when I can be the one guy playing this really obscure casino tycoon game?
True, but that also only works because it's Jerma.
Yeah.
Because people are doing that currently and have like 3 viewers.
Jerma's an enigma of a person anyway, so like you can't copy that man.
But it's just kind of one of those things. Eventually, some channels you just get big enough where you can't fail. Whatever you do,
yeah,
just does well. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of what Let's Plays, but sometimes I will. I'll catch an interesting one. I watched Jacksepticeye's Dredge game, and Dredge is a fun game, and it was like a 5-video series, so it wasn't that deep to get into.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just like if it's the right game and the right content creator, I'll be more than happy to look into it, because either 1, I want to see that game, or 2, I want to see how they run that game, or 3, I get major gamer envy, so if I want to motivate myself to play a game, I'll watch someone else play the game I want to play, and then I'll be like, I gotta play the game now. I gotta do it. I get such bad gamer envy.
I get gamer envy when it's this group. And
yeah.
Like, not for a lot of others. And you know, Wulong was a game I did try because I got it through Game Pass. And I immediately dropped it because it barely functioned when it came out. Which, I mean, that's just the AAA, you know, combo.
Oh, games God, I hate that so much.
At all. But, like, it just, like, it wouldn't fucking work. And there was a weird bug of, like, it just wouldn't conform to my monitor at all. So, like, I couldn't run it in my resolution. So it just, like, looked really shit. So I was like, you know what? I will give this like a year or so. I'm just gonna wait, because the combat of Wulong looks fucking dope. But like, I'll wait. I'll get it on a sale or something. I will say though, I actually have never. I don't think I've played a Ninja Theory game, because I think that's by them. That's Ninja Theory who made Wulong. Right? Or am I smoking weed right now? I just know that there's Neo, or that I've never played.
No, it's Koei Tecmo.
That's it. Okay. Yeah,
by Team Ninja.
Team Ninja. Okay, that's it. What I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Neo seems fun. I know you really enjoyed Neo too.
Neo is really good. I would say
I tried playing Neo 1 and I thought it was very mediocre. I couldn't get into it, but
I played a lot of the demo for Wulong. And it's okay. Ninja Theory did DMC.
Yeah.
There's a lot of game companies with Ninja in them, though, to be fair.
Ninja Theory, you know, I also, maybe one of the reasons I can't fully get into them is because of that. You know, I'm still kind of bitter about it. Specifically in the fact that in a lot of their, like, reasonings for the things they did was just very insulting to, like, why people enjoyed Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Like, they were just kind of pricks about it. Like, the main thing was talking about how original Dante is fucking lame and not cool, and, like, no one actually likes him. And this cool Dante, he's so much better because he swears and he
smokes.
He smokes and he's grimy looking. I don't know. He was just really boring. I don't know. He's not a great protagonist. He was just kind of lame. Yeah, that was specifically their reference is like, yeah, look at him. He's like, it's like Brokeback Mountain. He's a gay cowboy. It's like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like, hey, you guys want to do this project? You can make your own adaptation. They're like, we can make better Devil May Cry. And then when it bombed, they got super defensive, and they're just like, hey, guys, old Dante's actually kind of cringe. Our Dante kind of lit. And everyone's like, that's the worst take anyone could ever make.
You know, the worst part is the original tech demo and, like, trailer they dropped looked really interesting. It was like a significantly cooler concept for it, and then they just lost it. From what I've heard too, the gameplay of DMC actually is very fun. The main thing is the story is dog shit. And I mean, I don't trust a game that had to have a specific patch just to get rid of the fedora.
Right.
For Virgil, because that's just kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame, but it's okay. Oh, my stream.
Yeah.
How are we doing on the YouTube side?
I
gotta refresh my page.
Yeah, I'm refreshing.
Because it like stopped on the YouTube side of things.
Yeah, that's what I
saw. Okay,
yeah,
looks like it's fine.
Yeah, the white wig was because I think that specific thing is a thing other games and like movies and adaptation stuff like reboots have done, and they've done it well. The problem is when you include that in a project that just kind of sucks, it's just that moment where like, oh fuck you, like
yeah.
That was in the Uncharted movie, which is a bad movie, by the way. The movie fucking sucks. But, like, there's a scene where, you know, Tom Holland is like, oh, washes up on a beach. Like, ooh, that was a wild time. Tom Holland is like, oh, washes up on a beach. Like, ooh, that was a wild time. And then Christ. It's not, yeah, if you're refreshing it. I just, like, in this downtime, checked on my latest video, and Jesus Christ, man.
Did it just like jump super high?
1.6K.
1.6K? It was 500 when we started the stream.
Because it's already uploaded. I'm not actually losing anything. I'm always just really paranoid about clearing out my video folder because I've accidentally I've like recorded stuff in advance and I've been like, oh yeah, then I'll just edit that. I don't have to do as much